Example already of how to break down the surface narrative. It was an essay written by Claude Lévi-Strauss called The Structural Study of Myth. And it's available on JSTOR, I believe. If not, we can get a copy of it. What he did, if we go back to the surface narrative picture, what he did is he took a look at the extant Greek versions of the Oedipus story, okay? And he wanted to say, let's get a stack of index cards. And every single time we see a phrase in the text that talks about the overestimation of family bonds, let's write that phrase out, okay? And then every time we see the opposite of that, the underestimation of family bonds, let's write that phrase out. So, well actually, I'm rushing here. He said, let's just read the text, say, of Sophocles, and just break up the phrases, and then let's pile the phrases up in piles where we sense that there's some similarity, and then try to identify what's the logic that drives a certain set of phrases. And what he did is he came up with two semiotic squares, and he basically said the whole story of Oedipus is the same story that we hear over and over again in plays like Hamlet, right, and the contemporary retellings of that. But it's also this very ancient story because it's driven by the overestimation and the underestimation of family bonds, as well as wondering about this fundamental question: are we creatures who are born of the earth, or are we creatures who descend from the stars? And so, are we star people or earth people, right? Do we invest too heavily in our family bonds, right, or do we not invest heavily enough in them? How do we manage that negotiation between being attached to our parents but not fully attached to our parents in every way? Parents attached to their children. So it's the opening line of Hamlet's first line is, sort of maybe under his breath, he says, a little more than kin and less than common. That's Hamlet's basically saying to his uncle, who has become his father through marriage, right? You're a little more than my kin, right? And you're a little less than my kin because you've married my father's wife, my mother. Okay. Is that making some sense? So what Claude Lévi-Strauss is doing is he's saying that the surface narratives are generated by irreconcilable differences at the level of the semiotic system, right? Between S1 and S2.
Who may be interested in. I've seen this described before, but usually in a more linear process of narrative from script writing.
I kind of stole this map from a friend of mine who does walkthrough studies at Purdue. And when we were in graduate school, we were trying to work out, well, what exactly are the connections between the semiotic square and the surface level. And we were basically trying to simplify Gramos for a couple audiences. So we worked on this. It's predominantly his idea.
How are we doing for time?
I think we've got 15 seconds. Sorry.
All right, I'm going to give this out. So, this is the first assignment. What we haven't done is set you in groups to work on it yet, which I will do over the next couple of days through Canvas. So, no, because you need to be cross-disciplinary. I will be setting you in groups.